Hello and welcome to the week 4 episode of the Jefferson My Drinks Fantasy Podcast, the pod on a mission to normalise 18 leagues. It's just me and Ian today. Good evening, Ian.
Evening, mate. How you doing?
I'm all right. There's no H. He's told us he's lost his voice, but he's coincidentally at the same time as the Texans are flailing at 0-3 at the bottom of the AFC South. So make up your own mind from there.
Yeah. I mean, at least I've started the ball to turn up after what happened to us this weekend.
Yeah, I did. Do you know what I was watching? As you know, I won't bore the audience. I was out on Sunday for the first few hours of Red Zone, so I got back in, started watching Red Zone at like 10 o'clock at night. Which, for reference, there is no opportunity to speed through that. You are literally just, if you watch an NFL game back the following morning, you can speed through all the ads and breaks, and you can get done in about an hour and 20 minutes. Whereas Red Zone is just there's no gaps.
No.
So I was still watching it at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, as that was going in, I was like, I hope Ian's fantasy teams are doing well this weekend because this is really not fun to watch. So, did they save you?
Well, I had a 56% win rate this week.
That's
so
right.
I won in 10 out of 18 leagues, which, ironically, through 3 weeks, my win percent for the season is bang on 50%. So I'm just, I've middled out.
Yeah. There's a long way to go, mate. So
there is a long way to go.
You can make championships are won from here on in. I haven't crunched the numbers in the same way you have, but I think I was at about a similar level. But considering how many teams I've got CD Lamb in, I'm taking that as a massive win this week. So to any league that I won with CD Lamb in the starting lineup, I was like, that's a win. And one of my leagues, I went 3-0, and then I looked at my team today, and in my roster, I have James Conner, Najee Harris, and CeeDee Lamb. So I'm 3-0, but it's all falling apart pretty quickly.
Yeah, the James Conner one hurt because I'd literally just traded for him this week in the Rules Mania League.
No.
So the James Conner one is an absolute killer for me because I only just got him.
Before we go any further, can I just make a small statement?
Yeah.
Okay. Here it comes. Dear Karen, I jumped on your bandwagon several years ago when everybody else doubted you, and we've been through some good times and some bad, but mainly good times. And when everyone doubted you again last year, I stuck up for you. When Ian was calling you a kick returner and nobody wanted anything to do with you, I drafted you, and we had a great season. And then it got to this summer, and still nobody wanted to draft you, and I drafted you, and we had a good couple of opening weeks. And then this weekend, I doubted you, and I left you on the bench. And you proved to me that I should never do that. So I make this promise now that I will never, ever leave you on the bench again.
That is one of the most romantic things I've ever heard. That was genuinely beautiful.
Can't believe I did it. I dropped him. It didn't really matter in most of the leagues I dropped him in, but I dropped him, and then I just watched him go for 20 points against the Eagles. I was like, I've never doubted him. In 3 years, I've never doubted him. And then the one time I doubted him, couldn't believe it.
Who did you play instead of him?
Tony Pollard, mainly.
Oh my word! I mean, Tony Pollard he's doing bits. To be fair,
yeah.
But that is, I can't believe he did that.
There wasn't a lot in it, but I should never. That's it. I'm riding Kyren Williams to the moon. For those of you who are just going, who's Karen? So who haven't listened to this podcast for a while. Should we start with the Rams Eagles? I mean, I touched on this last week. The Eagles are the new Chiefs. They are going to be really, really boring until somebody says you're going to have to play a bit, and then they'll play just enough, and then they'll get something going their way, and they'll find a way to win because that's what great teams do.
Yeah, I do agree, and I think the first couple of weeks they have been especially more boring because it's a very steady game plan. We're going to run Saquon into the ground, and then we're going to run it with Hurts, and then it's if we get within 2 yards and we've got 2 plays left, we're going to push it twice, and we're nailed on for the first down. But what I like this week is they actually started throwing it to AJ Brown. So AJ Brown caught 6 out of 10, 109 yards and a touchdown. Devonta got 8 of 9, 60 yards and a touchdown. So it was nice to see them air it out a bit more this week.
I think they had to, though, because they were 20 points down or whatever they were at one point. It's like, I think that's it.
Yeah, I get that. It just shows that they can do it.
Makes them do it.
Yeah. Yeah, unless someone puts their backs against the wall, they're just going to run it into the ground and, like give Saquon a good blast in until they need to throw it. But they've shown that when they do need to do it, they can.
Yeah.
So they're a dangerous team, albeit when a game's going their way, a bit boring.
Right, we're 5 minutes in and we haven't talked about the 2026 Super Bowl champions yet.
Second down and 4 to Taylor. Taylor explodes, makes a man miss to his right. Spin move, a beauty, inside the 30. High step into the 25, inside the 10, into the end zone. Touchdown, Jonathan Taylor, 46 yards.
Jonathan Taylor is the best player in football at the moment.
It's tough to argue against that, to be honest. It really is. Although the best player in football might be your punter. It's just that no one ever sees him.
Yes. He did punt on Sunday. Not only once or twice, but he did have to punt on Sunday. Do
you think that when you sign Daniel Jones text your punter, a la Caleb Williams, and said, "We won't be punting the ball much here, mate"?
If he did, they need to find that audio because it sounded much better than the Caleb Williams one.
Yeah.
I keep thinking. I'm going to enjoy this while I can because there's no way the Colts are going to keep winning. Despite, I think, and obviously H isn't here, so we probably shouldn't dump on the Texans too much. But if you look at their schedule, it's tough for the Texans. Like, I don't see they could easily be 1-5 in 3 weeks' time, and that's not the start they would have been hoping for. No,
definitely not. But with you guys playing the Rams this week, what are your thoughts on Karen?
I'm playing him.
Right. So is your streak over this weekend?
Yes, I think it is. I think the thing for the Colts, I'm gonna have to dig the schedule up because I was looking at it earlier and I should know this. But whilst this week's tough, we've then got 2 games that we can win. So you kind of got to look at the bigger picture and kind of go, well, we could win. We'll probably lose this week, but then we've got the Raiders coming to Indianapolis the week after that, and then where are we? Then we got the Cardinals coming to Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, both winnable.
I think the Rams looks really good. If we lose, we can go in there with nothing to lose. If we end up losing to the Rams, 3-1 would have been a good start that we all would have taken. But then there's 2 very winnable games there, and we can end up 5-1. The division's there for the taking at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
And I think the good thing about Daniel Jones is he's not been incredible. He's just not making mistakes, which I think is all Shane Steichen wants. It's like, we're going to run I said this in the summer. The only hope they've got is to run it through Jonathan Taylor. But with Pittman, Downs, and Warren, he's got reliable receivers. He just needs to not force it and not make any mistakes. But I think the Rams will be a different matchup this week.
Yeah, and he is looking pretty solid. He's one of the deeper leagues that I'm in, and it's a super flex league. So there's no quarterbacks available, and my backup quarterbacks, Shadur and Anthony Richardson. Because I thought by week 9, when the bye week started hitting me, my QBs, one of them's got to be starting for one of their teams. Yeah. And I don't think Richardson's going to be looking like starting if it carries on this way.
Did you see Jackson Dart starting for the Giants this week?
I didn't. I was going to make a point about that later, actually.
Well, do you want to leave it till later? But
we'll leave that till later. But okay. So is that Russ is done then?
Yeah, Russ has been sat. So
So I
One week
saw
removed from 400
Go on.
yards against the Cowboys.
I saw an article earlier today saying that Russ is struggling, the Giants may move on, and that the Bengals should trade for Russ. And I was like, if that happens, I am done.
You're taking a
Right?
sabbatical.
I will still support the Bengals, but I will not come on a podcast and discuss the Bengals. And I just won't discuss the NFL in general. There are a load of other players out there that if we are going to get a quarterback, I will gladly take them, but not just not Russ.
Surely, if you're going to go to the Giants and trade for a quarterback, you'd be better trading for Winston.
I will
Jameis is a bet.
I will 100% take Jameis Winston and enjoy it,
Yeah.
because that would be a lot of fun. Just not Russ, because he comes with a load of other baggage. He's one of the most arrogant players I think out there, and there's just nothing about him that makes me even want to like him.
And also, if you trade for him, he'll be on his fourth team in 4 years or something ridiculous. Like it doesn't exactly.
Yeah.
There was other options. Do you think they'll go with Browning for the next few weeks?
If we don't trade for a quarterback this week, I think we're going to ride with him unless he's just horrendous. I mean, you can't really put this last week on Browning. Yeah, he threw 2 picks. One was a really good tip from the outside linebacker. But the other turnovers, we had Noah Fant, really experienced player, fumbled the ball. Jamar Chase, really experienced player, fumbled the ball. Chase Brown never fumbles the ball. So you can't really put it on Jake Browning. He didn't have a good game, but it was absolutely not his fault.
Yeah.
So I think
Did
we'll
you
give
see
him.
that? Did you see that Chase Brown stat last week? I haven't seen it updated. I'm guessing it's just as bad this week. But through 2 games, he had 47. This must have been last week. He had 47 carries for 93 yards.
Yeah.
How many of those do you think were before contact? Or how many before contact yards did he have? Bearing in mind, he's only got 93 yards.
Probably about 30.
Minus 54.
Oh my! Oh Jesus Christ! Wow.
It's like that's a stat and a half. That.
And we
Minus 54
wonder why a quarterback can't do anything for us. Crazy. Chase Brown
Absolutely.
has been benched on every team for the foreseeable future now. He's too good to drop, and no one will trade for him. So he's just going to have to sit on my bench.
Yeah, it's funny. You get to this point. I had a good week last week, so you just find it easier to try and. I did a few trades. It's a lot easier to trade with people when some of your players are doing well. It's like sell high, because once they're having a bad time. I mean, I put AJ Brown out there in a couple of leagues that we're in together, and nobody wanted him last week. And now he's had a good week, and I'm not sure I want to get rid of him. But I would have been better holding off and going, right, actually, does anybody want him now that you've seen him do that week 3? Because after the first 2 weeks, nobody was trading for AJ Brown.
Well, me and you had a chat about it.
Yeah.
We couldn't get anything going, but we had a chat about it.
Mm.
But speaking of players who have to be done, absolutely have to be done, Ramondre Stevenson.
I think sometimes we come across pretty Steelers negative on this podcast, which maybe we are, maybe we're not. But and I don't really mean this in a negative Steelers way, but I have never seen a team try and lose a game as much as the Patriots did on Sunday. Absolutely unbelievable.
Ramondre, 4 carries, 3 receptions, and 2 lost fumbles. There's no way back for him now, surely.
You would think not.
No.
Apparently he came in the week before because Henderson missed 3 pass blocks. Like he just missed it. He just wasn't getting it. So he's brought Ramondre in, but it's like he just keeps fumbling the ball. He's almost as bad as Derrick Henry.
Yeah. So. Would you take a fumble from Ramondre or a sack because Henderson missed the block?
Yeah. Pick your poison.
Pick your poison, but I'd take the sack.
Before we Every week you get one.
Every week.
Just
Before go on.
Just one thing. I know we're only 3 weeks in, but I do think on this podcast we're very good at kind of going, we got that wrong, and sort of admitting like we weren't right about that, blah blah blah. One thing we were right as a trio so far, the AFC West, the Chargers are 3-0. When we had our predictions, all three of us said the Chargers will win that division. We got a bit of abuse on social media and from other people about, it's the Chargers and everything else. And they're 3-0. They're 2 games ahead of everyone else. And they beat, not only are they 3-0, they're 3-0 in the division. So I think I'm taking a pat on the back. I'm giving us all a pat on the back before it all goes wrong.
Yeah, I don't have no issue with that. I'll sit here and tell you all day how right I was about stuff. But it has already been pointed out to me that I was so wrong about Mark Andrews.
Yeah, we don't get everything right, but the Chargers, so far, we were on the Chargers before everyone else jumped on it.
Well, this is everyone's cue now to completely overreact to Mark Andrews' performance, go and splash a load of fab and putting him in, only for him to do nothing for the next 6 weeks as well. So I don't mind being wrong on that, as long as it encourages everyone else to spend fab that they shouldn't be doing on picking him up.
On Mark Andrews, who will, like say, will disappear this week, and Zay Flowers will reappear and have a game. Or maybe Derrick Henry will learn how to keep hold of the ball. Right, Q2 fantasy game day. Last week we had Bucky Irving as captain. You picked the captain. H picked the team. I'm guessing as H isn't here to tell us how wonderfully well we did. We didn't do wonderfully well.
Well, he has sent us the team. So Bucky Irving, 27.8 points, which isn't too bad. To be fair, Jonathan Taylor would have been a better shout, however more expensive. I like going for a more budget option so I can build a stronger team around it. He had Carson Wentz, 15 points, Judkins, 16, Mason, 23, Nico Collins, 22, Justin Jefferson, who was as cheap as I had ever seen him.
Yeah.
He got 12.5. Alvin Kamara let us down, or let H down, should I say. 6.6 points. 18 carries, 42 yards, 1 reception for 14 yards. Not a great night for him. And then Jake Ferguson as tight end, which is actually something I got right.
Yeah. And I think you're going to be proved even more right over the next couple of weeks, because without CeeDee Lamb there, which you've said 2 to 3 weeks by the looks of it, without CeeDee Lamb, I think Jake Ferguson's, he's not worth talking about in terms of picking him up on waivers or anything, because I think he's already in most leagues. But if you've already got Jake Ferguson, it'd be a good shout at tight end moving forward. It's my turn to pick captain. So once the game launches, I will do. If you haven't signed up for game day, download the app, use our code JMDFS, and you'll get a free week on the £7.50 game. So play that, you'll get two goes for the price of one. Selection nightmares. Last week we had a couple of listeners selection nightmares. So Sad Sacks on Sleeper hit us with Mahomes or Jaden Daniels. As the week went on, I think we were sort of torn on this. H was leaning Daniels, we were leaning Mahomes, and as the week went on, this became a non-problem anyway. Mahomes only scored 15 points, but it's 15 more than Jaden Daniels would have scored him. So
that is true. However, while we're on this, I actually owe H an apology, because H made a comment last week that I was like, that is ridiculous, because he said, if Jaden Daniels doesn't play, go out on the waiver wire and play Mariota over Mahomes. And I just said, that is ridiculous. At which point H then went on for another 10 minutes about the same stuff he already said. But I was wrong. Mariota was the play instead of Mahomes in that game, which is just mental.
Who'd have thought it?
Yeah. H should also say, go and play Carson Wentz, which I wasn't having.
No. Well, Carson Wentz didn't have to do much because everybody else is doing it. The defense was doing
the Vikings did it.
Yeah. And then Dan Gregg's on Sleeper. Pittman, Jennings, or Judkins. I know you were leaning Jennings, I think. I think I was leaning Jennings because I was scared of Pittman.
Yeah, we did, which was another irrelevant point by the end of it.
Yeah, it turns out Pittman finished on this is full PPR score in 19.3. Jennings was 19.9 and Judkins was 16.5. So wasn't that much in it. I can't imagine he's lost his matchup either way. So we'll take that as a win. Who have you
why
got?
not?
Who have you got for your selection nightmare this week, mate?
So my selection nightmare this week is either Darnell Mooney or Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, which I am now going to call just JCM from now on because his name is just...
I just call him Bill, like everybody else does.
I was calling Bill. Yeah, I'll call him Bill. So after missing week 1, Mooney saw 4 targets in week 2 and then got a load this week with 11 targets. Granted, he only ended up with 4 receptions, but it just shows that the opportunity's there, even if it is a game where the Falcons don't get past their own 30. Coming into a game this week with Washington, who ranked 23rd against passing. In contrast, on the other side, we all expected to see JCM get a load of volume this week with Eckler done for the year, but he only saw 9 touches, which he turned into 27 yards. And it was Chris Rodriguez who actually got the bulk of the work with 11 touches for 39 yards. But Jeremy McNichols
Easy for you to say.
got 4 carries for 78 yards and a TD. So has last week damaged JCM's claim to the backfield? Is he behind Rodriguez in the depth chart? Or has McNichols made a case for more volume? Now they're playing against the Falcons, obviously playing against each other this week. And the Falcons rank in the top 10 best defenses against the run. They're 9th. So who am I going with?
For me, this is Darnell Mooney. I think his usage last week, what did he get? 9 targets?
11 targets. 11 targets, 4 receptions.
11 targets. And I feel like everyone got very excited about the Falcons defense after the Vikings game. And it just disappeared on Sunday. So it was a one-off showing. I think the Panthers had looked terrible through 2 weeks. And this is the joy of the NFL through like the first few weeks of the season. It's like you can have one good game and everyone's like, oh, maybe the Falcons have got a defense. Maybe they've got a pass rush for the first time in 20 years. And then you find out that actually, no, they haven't. A couple of people had a really good game. And JJ McCarthy might actually be garbage. Again, it's very early in his career. I'm not claiming anything. I'm just saying we don't know at this point. So it is hard to judge them. The reason I would go Mooney is I think Drake London's still carrying an injury, so don't know how 100% he is. Kyle Pitts remains Kyle Pitts. So I think Darnell Mooney, if he's not the number 1 target in that offense, he's at least a 1B option. On the flip side of that, I think everyone expected Bill or JCM to get the bulk of the carries at the weekend, and they just completely split it. And that would terrify me because it was him, Eckler, and Brian Robinson, and then Brian Robinson's been shipped off, and then Eckler's got injured, so everyone's automatically gone, well, it's going to be this guy, and then they've just gone, no, we'll just find 2 other guys and split it with him. It's like if they thought that much of him in the 3rd week of the year, I don't know why they wouldn't have just given him all the work on Sunday, and I don't therefore think that they're going to do it moving forward. They might, but it's a big gamble to take when I think Mooney gives you a lower floor or a higher floor, should I say, and possibly a higher ceiling as well.
Well, in terms of splitting that backfield, like McNichols went for 78 yards off 4 carries and a touchdown. If anything, they're going to split it even more and get McNichols more involved.
Yeah.
So, you think I'm going with Darnell Mooney?
Yeah, I would go with Darnell Mooney.
Okay.
I dropped him in a couple of leagues last week, and only because I thought there was somebody better out there. One of them being Troy Franklin, which is now looking like a terrible mistake. So I've used some of my waivers to try and get him back, but I don't know.
As an additional point to this, do we think it'll be Michael Penix?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move on to yours.
I haven't heard any rumours.
Well, Kirk O'Chain's got a couple of snaps towards the end of the game.
I can't see them going. That'd be a big move, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. But they've still got him there, sitting on $40 million a year. It's a lot of money to not play.
I mean, I've mentioned this before, and I watched him. I've only just recently finished quarterback. I just don't think he. I mean, obviously they're making it look a certain way, but I just don't think he was that bad through most of the year. And when you think about the injury that he had and the other injuries he picked up during the year, It's like there's possibly still a quarterback there, but I don't think you can
Yeah.
spend all off season going, we're all in on Michael Penix, and then one bad game and just pull him out and keep swapping and changing.
No, it's not good for the long-term future of the Falcons if they keep doing that.
They traded away.
It's obviously not going to be Cousins long-term, so I think they're better off just sticking with Penix.
They traded away next year's first, didn't they, in the draft?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
So they sort of said we're all in on Penix and trying to give him a defense to work with and all that sort of stuff. And I think that would be daft.
Yeah, let's move on to yours, mate, because we're taking up quite a bit of this quarter on mine. So sorry about that. Here's yours.
All right. We've only got 2 to go through today. Nice picture. Yes. So I've got selection nightmares all over the place because CeeDee Lamb's missing for the next few weeks. But this one comes back to what you were saying about Ramondre. I was like, I've got Travion Henderson, which it's like I don't know whether they're going to lean on him. They brought Gibson in a little bit, or Romeo Doubs. And part of the Romeo Doubs thing is he didn't get as much action as I thought he was going to do at the weekend, but Cleveland shut them down a little bit. And when you look at who they're playing this weekend, I don't think that's going to happen. So the Cowboys are quickly turning teams into absolute powerhouses, whoever they come up against, which will lead on to my quarterback to watch in a bit. But I think with that, it's like Romeo Doubs could be in for a touchdown or 2 here and a little bit more usage. Him and Kraft, I think, will be the leaders of that offense going forward while they still work Golden in. So I was sort of leaning Romeo Doubs, but I don't know. Henderson, like we've just talked about, you've already mentioned it with all those things with Ramondre. How many times can he put the ball on the ground before they go, actually, let's go with the exciting rookie?
Yeah. What was interesting this week is that I'd have thought that with Jaden Reed finally, don't get me started on this, finally being put on IR several days too late. I'd have thought Romeo Doubs' usage would have increased, but he actually saw a season-low targets of 2. And no receiver from Green Bay actually got more than 4. But as you've said, they are playing the Cowboys, who are ranked 32 against the pass, and they're giving up an average of 288 yards per game through the air. So, like you say, there's plenty of potential for someone of the Packers to have a big game, if not a couple of people. Now, Henderson saw his workload increase. He got 14 touches this week after only getting 5 in week 2. Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson combined for 3 fumbles, because don't forget Gibson fumbled as well, which only furthers Henderson's cause for becoming the bell cow, really, who are up against a bad rush defense with the Panthers. So it's 2 really good matchups for both of them. But I'm going to say I'm going to go with you, and I'm going to say go with Doubs. They're both averaging 8.3 or 8.4 points per game. Doubs has got the edge on that. But I think Doubs' ceiling in this game is much higher. But if you look at the Patriots so far this year, other than the game where they completely took the Dolphins to the cleaners, which is ridiculous because the Dolphins are terrible this year. They managed 13 points against the Raiders and 14 points against the Steelers. Yeah. The offense there and the play calling doesn't look great. So I'd rather have Doubs, who's kind of a small fish in a big pond, on a team where there's going to be lots of scoring potential, than Henderson, who's a big fish in a smaller pond, but doesn't score that much.
Yeah, I like that. Just quickly, if you had, I suppose this, I'm throwing another one out. If you had Romeo Doubs and you also had Tucker Kraft, but you already had your tight end position, so this is for a flex position, would you pay Kraft over Doubs?
It depends on how your matchup is looking. If you're swinging for the fences, I'd take Tucker Kraft and have a gamble. If you want something that's going to provide more stability, I think Romeo Doubs is the play. But I think now I've said it, I think in general I'd just ride with Romeo Doubs, because an average of 288 air yards against that D, someone's going to get him, and it's unlikely that your tight end's going to go for over 100 yards.
Yeah, true. He did that one big game. I do like Tucker Kraft, though. Wouldn't surprise me if...
Yeah, I like Tucker Kraft.
It wouldn't surprise me if their offense started going through him moving forward.
Hmm.
A bit. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can just count the Browns game out. That defense. So, right, players to watch. But I'll start with my quarterback because we've already talked about the matchup, and I'm going with Jordan Love. So in the last 2 weeks, the Cowboys have made Russell Wilson and Caleb Williams look like superstar quarterbacks, and now they host the Green Bay Packers, and I just can't see that they can fix this in the time that they need before Sunday night. And I think Jordan Love, the Packers are going to be a little bit irritated by last week, and I think Jordan Love's a good player. I think he was having a good season. Makes a silly mistake, throws an interception on Sunday, but other than that, I think he's been pretty good up to this point. So I think he's one to watch on Sunday.
Yeah, fair enough. Can't agree more with that. But while you mentioned Caleb Williams, he is someone who is on my list of waiver wire targets this week, and I bet you never thought you'd see the day where I'm actually trying to bring Caleb Williams into my fantasy teams. But you know, I get over things. Like I did doubt his talent. It was his attitude that I couldn't get on board with. I don't mind him painting his nails and whatever he does in his private life. It was just the fact that when he was drafted, he wouldn't do visits elsewhere. He wouldn't throw a ball. He wouldn't do the combine. He just felt very, very entitled. So I was instantly rooting against him. But I'm happy that he's doing well.
This is the bit I struggle with. So I picked Caleb Williams up in one of our leagues, played him at the weekend because Jaden Daniels. I was umming and ahhing about it, and then if I'm honest, I probably would have played Jaden Daniels. Luckily, he was out, and I played Caleb Williams, and it helped me win. But there is a big part of me that's like, don't get too carried away. This could just be the Cowboys. So, I mean, Russell Wilson threw for 450 yards and 3 touchdowns a week ago against the Cowboys, and now they've benched him. Like that's literally what they've been given 1 week later. So I was like, I don't know.
But like Caleb Williams is now. I've not got his stats right in front of me, but I'm 99% certain he's had 3 back-to-back 20-plus point weeks.
Yeah, he has been scoring well, to be fair.
So it's not just the Cowboys. Can't remember whether they played week 1 and 2, but he's still averaging over 20 points a week, which is someone that you definitely want in your rosters. But my QB to watch was someone that you just mentioned. It was going to be Russell Wilson. And the reason I was saying it was the one to watch, I'm not saying waver him in. Like when we do this section, I'm not saying these are people that I want to watch for whatever reason. And the reason I wanted to watch Russell Wilson is that my thinking was it was going to be his last game.
Yeah, well, apparently he's done. It's Jackson Dart's first one instead. We'll just flip it to Jackson Dart. Let's watch him, see how good he is.
Yeah. But in fairness, like I've got a load of stock in Jackson Dart. I had a lot of faith in him in the draft. I thought potentially he had a shot at just starting from week 1 and Russell Wilson would be a mentor in the back until they went and signed Jameis. And I was like, right, well, things have changed. But yeah, I think Russ has got to go. 11.12 points in week 1. Obviously, there was the week 2 against the Cowboys, which is inflated. But then only 5.1 points in week 3. Coming up against the Chargers, who were ranked 9th for pass D. So, they maybe could have left Russell in for this week and waited for an easier debut for Jackson Dart, because this isn't going to be an easy game for him to just walk into. I don't know who they're playing next week, but I would say that next week
they're playing the Saints next week. So it feels a bit like
I'd leave Russ in for this week.
Yeah, they should have left him in for 1 week and then brought Dart in. But I suppose he comes in with nothing to lose. No one's going to have to go in.
It's a free hit. It's a free hit essentially. But I maybe would have protected him a bit more for this one. But then again, Brian Daboll's back's against the wall. He's one of the early candidates for being sacked.
After that, they've got Eagles and Broncos, so it doesn't get any easier. So
no, it doesn't.
He might need to enjoy that Saints game. Right, running back, I've gone with Trey Benson. I was going to bring him up 2 weeks ago because I thought it was a little bit more of a split. And I suppose this is a bit of a waiver pickup. That's not what we're intending me. But Trey Benson is the one where I really want to see. Everyone's just assuming that he's going to get the work, but I really want to see on Thursday Night Football whether he does, or suddenly we start seeing DiMarcado and all these other people, a bit like the Commanders, that you suddenly start seeing all these running backs that you forgot that were on the roster, and it's like a 3-man split that he leads. I think he's got, where's he stats? 125 yards on 21 attempts so far, which is almost six yards a carry. I was like, he's shown enough to me that he's got something there, and I think now is the time. Connor's out. Let's give him the ball and let's see what he can do. And they need the Cardinals.
They need to get something going, don't they, the Cardinals?
Yeah.
While we're on them, see Marvin Harrison Jr.'s drop.
Yeah.
Oh, that is unforgivable at this level. You cannot.
Yeah, it is.
That is Kadarius Toney levels of handwork.
Yeah, it was. I do think Kyler needs to take some of the blame, because that's not
for that pass.
Yeah, no, because that's not where the ball should be thrown. Like, but at the same time, he's done that typical, I'm going to catch and run it, and he's already started running off with the ball when he hasn't even caught it yet. So, something's not clicking for him. And I think there was a lot of us thought, especially I know I did, I know H did, before it was going to happen this year. And so far, maybe he needs a Thursday Night Football as like a coming out party. Who knows?
Yeah,
we shall see.
So my running back is also someone who's going to benefit from an injury, and this is Amarian Hampton.
Yeah,
who's got the chance now to completely take over that Chargers backfield. Najee Harris, if you weren't aware, he's done for the rest of the season with a torn Achilles. Hampton this week saw a really impressive 25 touches, so 19 carries and 6 receptions, which he turned into 129 yards and a TD, 24.9 fantasy points. And I just want to see if he can replicate that kind of performance, especially this week against the Giants team where he could be running the ball a lot.
Yeah. There seems to have been a nervousness that we've already talked about Henderson, Hampton. There seems to be this nervousness from teams to throw the rookies in and just go, yeah, let's see what you can do. Genty's had most of the work, but he was always going to have most of the work when you picked up that high. But, I mean, Caleb Johnson has barely played 2 snaps or something on offense. RJ Harvey's clearly second or third choice at the Broncos. There just doesn't seem to be. Henderson's struggling to get past Ramondre. It's like, just give him a chance. So I fully believe in like 5 or 6 weeks we'll have loads of rookies running wild at running back, but just in case you can wait that long.
Yeah, well, Judkins has gone straight in, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Like Judkins straight away, week 1, here's all the work.
He can do it.
Yeah.
And he can do it. So that's what they drafted him for. Why not give him the ball and see if he can do it?
Yeah. Who's your receiver, mate?
My wide receiver is Sterling Shepard, who
It's really interesting.
Again, it's another one of those that, like, unless you're in a really deep league and you're desperate for a wide receiver, I wouldn't necessarily be looking to bring him in. But I think he's worth keeping an eye on because Evans is out. Egbuka's the real thing. I get that. But they're going to need, obviously, McMillan's injured. Godwin's still not back. So they're going to need another option. He's already had 15 targets through 3 weeks with Evans. So Baker seems to trust him reasonably well. And I think one of 2 things is going to happen for the Bucs. Either Cade Otton's going to return to relativity again, or Sterling Shepard's going to get a little bit more work. And like I said, I think it's worth keeping an eye on because he's always had the talent. He's never really had a decent wide receiver, a decent quarterback throwing in the ball. But he's always done what he could do with what he had. He's not a superstar, but I think he's worth watching over the next few weeks because he, like I say, he's got some work so far.
Yeah, I agree. My wide receiver was actually the other 2. So I did give a special mention for this, but there is the possibility that Chris Godwin returns this week.
Right.
And if it's not this week, it's next week. So I may have gone a week early with this, depending on whether he's back.
I was assuming he was missing 1 more week, but
right.
They might
So
rush him back
I've gone the other way. I'm assuming Godwin plays now. So it's going to be interesting to see who becomes the wide receiver one with Evans being out. Because he was the wide receiver one, he was having more targets than Egbuka. Egbuka was just doing more. He's had 17 points a game, Egbuka, and he's going to have most of the responsibility for those wider routes now with Evans out. But Godwin could be straight back into the team and could instantly see a lot of work. Before he got injured last year, he was averaging just over 7 targets a game. So it'd be great for him, the Bucks, and anyone who's got him in fantasy if he's just able to step straight into that role, take on the same amount of volume, as long as he's not on a snap count, take on the same amount of work. The good news is that the Bucks and Baker can sustain both of these receivers.
Yes.
Because Egbuka, he's only run 4 routes from the slot this season. So they will have to figure out how to get both of them involved. And it's going to be a good indicator, for Bucks post Mike Evans, so to speak, on how they can get these two working in tandem as a 1A or a 1B.
Yeah.
But yeah, also keep an eye on Sterling Shepard because he's obviously going to benefit from Evans being out.
We're all in on the Bucks wide receiver.
We are all in on the Bucks.
Who's your tight end of the week?
So my tight end of the week, last week, it was Jake Ferguson, one of my long-time favourites. This week is my last season's favourite. You can't
put Brock Bowers in this segment, surely.
Well, the reason he's in is because this is a huge, huge game for the Raiders this week. Currently 2-1. They're going to be looking at the rest of the division and thinking that their game against the Bears this week is an absolute must-win. Chargers are 3-0 playing the Giants, so they're looking at 4-0. Let's call that 4-0, shall we? The Broncos have to beat the Bengals, and they'll go 2-2. And the Chiefs are against the Ravens, and they are staring down the barrel of a 1-3 start. So the Raiders have the opportunity this week to beat the Bears, go 2-2, and dump the Chiefs to the bottom of the division, which is an opportunity that never, ever comes around for the Raiders, and they will be so up for this. But in order for them to go and beat the Bears, they need to figure out how to get their offense firing. And what worked for them last year was to spam Brock Bowers. So last season, Brock Bowers averaged 9 targets a game. Through the first 3 games, he's not had 9 targets once yet. And he's averaging 7. This is mainly because they've been forcing the ball to Johnson. They're trying to establish the run. They want to get the rookie involved. Spent a load of draft capital bringing him in. So why not go out there and use him? So establish a run first. We're completely fine. But it isn't working. It isn't working. And what worked for them last year was to give it to the big man. So I'm thinking this week we are going to see the return of Brock Bowers having at least 9 targets and finding the end zone.
Okay.
And that's why he's in for that. Yeah, it does seem like an obvious choice. I'm just saying this is the week where he goes big because it's such a big game for the Raiders.
He didn't have his knee brace on Sunday, so it was like obviously that knee thing's not as bad as originally feared.
Okay.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Because he didn't look like he was moving properly with that knee thing on.
Okay, fair enough. Do you want to do your B or should we go on to H's kicker?
Let's do H's kicker and then I'll finish off with the defense.
Okay. So H is sending in Chase McLaughlin, who was someone I dropped in a load of leagues after week 2.
Why? Just not doing it.
No, he just wasn't doing it. And then he did it this week to make me look really foolish. I dropped him for Matt Prater wherever I could.
Oh, and then he missed.
Yeah, of course he did. Because that's what my players do this year, apparently. So H has gone with Chase McLaughlin because he reckons the Eagles D are ranked 7th in red zone. So the Bucs are more likely to be good. We are talking a lot of Bucs tonight, aren't we? Murphy, I love this.
Very Bucs heavy.
Yeah. So maybe more field goals. No Mike Evans, who's a big red zone threat. He's missing, so less options. However, Chris Godwin, K. Dotton could be getting more looks. He's kicker 16 so far, but he's more accurate than this stat suggests. And that is from H, who's currently on the sick.
Nice. I did have some audio to play. In fact, I'm going to play it. So last week, I told you to go with the Seahawks.
Horton on the return at the 20, right up the middle to the 30. Now Horton to the outside. Torrey Horton down the sideline. And it's a touchdown. 95 yards.
Talk about a game being over in the first quarter. 95 yards to kick return. And then they blocked a punt, which I know the Seahawks scored sort of like 16 points on defense. And I mean, they weren't the biggest scoring defense on the week, but they blocked a punt. And the lad who should have, I haven't got his name, should have been a scoop and score for a second touchdown in the first quarter, and he couldn't pick it up. I was like, surely that's your job. You must do this all the time. Anyway, this week I'm going with the Vikings. The Vikings did score big last weekend, and that's not why I've looked at them, because they had a couple of what. The reason I've gone Vikings is they are playing on our first international game the first UK. Europe based international game, suppose if you don't count the Brazil game, is this weekend, and the Vikings are in it. The Vikings are actually 4-0 in international games, including a 23-17 win last season against Aaron Rodgers' Jets. Aaron Rodgers has played in London twice, and he didn't play very well either time. So I think there's just a little bit of, I think defenses tend to travel a little bit better than the offenses do. I don't think the Steelers are clicking, so I think the Vikings D is a good shout for that. Patriots held Rodgers to just 139 yards in week 3. His passing yards has gone down week on week from that impressive first week 1 performance. So I think the Vikings D is the way to go this weekend.
Yeah, and I really hope you're right, because after this weekend, after the Vikings destroyed the Bengals, we've got a friend who's a Steelers fan. I got a load of Viking memes and GIFs, and I cannot wait to send them back to him on Sunday afternoon before Red Zone starts.
That could come back quickly, couldn't it?
Yeah, life hits you fast.
Mm. There's a lot of primetime games this week. We've got Thursday night football, we've got the Ireland game, we've got Sunday night football, and then 2 Monday night football games. So lots to discuss. First off, Thursday night, Seahawks at Cardinals.
Hello. Oh yeah, good point. Well done, mate. Yeah. For anyone that isn't watching on YouTube, I'd left the last graphic up and Pete amended it for me. I can't see the Cardinals winning this.
Do you know? I've already touched on it. I was watching the Cardinals against 49ers, and there was a couple of times Kyler Murray had to scramble, and he's uncatchable. Like, he's so small, and he runs really. He's quick. He looks like he's quicker than Lamar, and he's smaller than Lamar. And I don't know if it's like a fitness cardio thing or what it is, but I was like, I don't understand why their offense isn't built around that. Like, he should be running the ball 15 times a game. Like, they should be designing it. Their offense should be, we're going to get Kyler going, we're going to get Trey Benson going, and once the defense is prepped for that, then we're going to start throwing it to Trey McBride, we're going to start throwing it to Marvin Harrison, and we're going to go from there. And they just don't seem to do it. Like, Kyler Murray should be running for 100 yards a game.
I completely agree.
I can't get my head around it at all.
We talked about this last year, because last year his rushing went this time Marvin Harrison Jr., and then they asked him to stay in the pocket and not rush.
Yeah.
Just trade him. Him. He's not that quarterback. He isn't that guy. You've got one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the league who isn't the best at throwing it, but you're going to try and hold him in the pocket and make him throw it. It's baffling. It really is.
He's too small for that. Like, get him out of the pocket, get him moving around, and it's like, get the defense like worried about him running, and then suddenly it'll open up space. It'll open up lanes for Marvin Harrison. It'll open up space for Trey McBride. Trey McBride is an absolute stud. Like, nothing that has happened this year has changed my mind on Trey McBride. But and the thing with Kyler is he can make the throws. I just don't think he's got it in him to make 30 a game. Like, you can't expect him to throw the ball 35 times and complete 25 of them and not make a mistake. He just doesn't have that. Whereas if you reduce that number down, get them running the ball a little bit more, I think there's a good offense there, and the defense looks all right. And it wouldn't surprise. The thing with the Cardinals is they're going to do this 3 or 4 times between now and the end of the season. They just won't do it enough to make the playoffs. And I'd be so frustrated if I was a Cardinals fan.
Yeah, I agree, but yeah, they're not winning this. I'd like them to win because I do like the Cardinals as a team. Well, on the other side of the coin, like Sam Darnold, he looks like he's just carrying on from last year.
Yeah.
Other than other than playoff Sam Darnold.
They look like a solid team that are well coached.
Yeah.
I do give the Cardinals a bit of hope because it's in Arizona. I think if this was the other way around, I wouldn't give them any chance. But I think this could be a really good game. So the Cards are favoured by a point for record.
Oh, right. Okay. I'll say that.
Which is home advantage, I'm assuming. I'm guessing the bookies can't see much in that. Just quickly, in one of our leagues, I drafted Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride, and then named my team after the Cardinals. Once I've done that, do you think I have to stick with Kyler Murray, or do you think if I can find a better quarterback? If I go with a different quarterback, do I have to change my team name? How does that work, do you reckon?
Is it a paid league?
Well, it depends when you ask for the money. It's one of your leagues, so it depends when you ask for the money.
Well, in that case, it's paid.
Yeah.
But no, you don't have to change it. Like my team name was Mixon My Drinks long after Joe Mixon had left. So no, you don't have to change your name this year anyway.
Right, let's move on to the Island game. Vikings are 2.5-point favourites against the Steelers. First time the Steelers have played internationally since 2013. It's going to feel like a Steelers home game because they're annoying and they get everywhere.
Yeah.
Do you think that matters, or are the Vikings?
Yeah, I do think it matters. I really do, and I actually do think the Steelers are going to win this. I know you just brought up the fact that the Vikings are 4-0 in international games, which I wasn't aware of until right now. So that might have a bearing. I think me picking the Steelers is just me saying, I really hope they don't win. But I'm saying that they'll win just so I can be right if they do, and then I'm not as upset.
Yeah, I went down a little bit of an international games black hole when I found that information out. I was like, all right, Steelers have only played internationally once in 2013 in England, and they lost to the Vikings. So there you go. That's my fate. Okay. The Vikings are going to go 5-0. I like the Vikings.
I just think their deal will give Carson Wentz a bit of a rougher time.
Yeah, I agree with that. But then I think it could be a low scoring one. I think it'll be both sides.
Yeah.
I think and I just think the Vikings have got a bit more quality. Jordan Addison's back. Starters. Big week.
Ooh, let me put him on. Let me put him in all my lineups. I really hate that guy. I really hate it.
Sunday Night Football. We've already talked about it a bit. Packers at Cowboys. Packers are touchdown favorite, 7-point favorite going into Dallas. Yeah,
I'll say that. I think this is going to be a drubbing.
I think I've already talked about Romeo Dobbs and Tucker Kraft and Jordan Love. I can't then turn around and go, I think this is going to be close because I just don't think without CeeDee Lamb that the Cowboys have got enough to stick with them. I hope they do enough to make it a competitive game, but I don't know what the over-under on that is, but I would be tempted to hit the over. Although the Packers, that's set up for Micah Parsons just sacking Dak Prescott about 7 times.
Over and over again, yeah.
Yeah.
What was interesting last week about the Cowboys against the Bears is the Cowboys moved onto more of a split backfield. So I know Javonte Williams has been smashing it first couple of weeks of the season. Last week, Javonte had 10 carries and they gave Miles Sanders 9.
Which is not going to work, is it?
It's not going to. Well, it did because. Well, it didn't. Sorry. I was thinking of someone else. Javonte Williams got five receptions and Sanders got 3. but that is the closest they've been to a 50-50 split all season. So that's something to keep an eye on if you are an owner of Javonte Williams. And if that trend continues, maybe it's time to sell while he's still high.
Yeah. I mean, Miles Sanders, he coughed the ball up in week 2, I think, or week 1. So, that was week 1 against the Eagles.
It was week 1.
He's 20. I don't know. He could be trusting Miles Sanders in 2025. Javonte Williams is still reasonably young, considering all the injuries and everything he's had to deal with. But yeah, I'm with you. I think the Packers by 7 could be conservative score like that. Before we talk Monday Night Football, we've already kind of talked Colts. I think we'll struggle to stick with the Rams. The Rams really impressed me against the Eagles on Sunday. I know they didn't win the game, but they probably should have done. Bengals. Oh, you're in Monday Night Football, so
we're Monday Night Football. Yeah.
So the first 2 Monday Night Footballs. We're back to just split them an hour apart. Just start them at the same time. If you're only going to put them an hour apart, what difference does it make?
Well, looking at the games, you could just play them on Tuesday at 11 a.m. because these are two games that no one is going to be excited about.
I don't know. I might get on to watch Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle against Garrett Wilson. This is my kind of game.
and Breece Hall.
Monday night, yeah. So Jets at Dolphins. Dolphins are a 2.5-point favorite, which I'm not having that at all.
I think this is all going to come down to does Fields play? Does Justin Fields does he make it back from his concussion? Because he's got the extra day and a half, so to speak, because it's a Monday Night Football. Which, if you're waiting on Justin Fields to come off the injury report to put him in your squads, it's a high risk move, unless you've also got Tua as a backup. If Fields plays the Jets, if it's Tyrod Taylor, the Dolphins.
You don't like Tyrod? Or Tyrod, as Baker corrected somebody this week.
Well, I've just said that, and then I thought Tyrod Taylor under centre, more work for Breece Hall, safety. I think the Jets will win either way, actually. I don't think it matters.
Yeah. As somebody who's got Garrett Wilson in a lot of teams, he seemed to do a lot better with Tyrod Taylor under centre on Sunday. So I will, maybe that's the way to go. And then an hour later, Bengals at Broncos, having just been taken apart by the Vikings defense. That's mile high is not really where you want to be going, mate.
No, and you know what makes this worse is that Tuesday is my birthday.
Oh, are you getting up for this?
No, I'm not. So what would have been, I've got a great day at work on Tuesday because, for those that are listening that don't know what I do, I'm a firefighter, and I'm part of the Swiftwater Rescue Team. And every year we have to go to a lake in Llangollen and do swiftwater rescue training, and it just so happens to be on my birthday this year. So I can't get up at 1 o'clock and watch the NFL, knowing I've got a full day on a raging river in Wales practicing swiftwater rescues. So that it'll be a game that I won't watch, but I will wake up on my birthday knowing exactly how it's gone.
Well, you never know. I mean, the Colts beat the Broncos, so Bo Nix hasn't looked great so far.
He hasn't, which will probably... It's a shame H isn't on here because H is a big believer in Bo Nix. He loves a lost cause, doesn't he? Like CJ Stroud.
Nix.
But yeah, who would you rather have?
Yeah, who would you rather have? CJ Stroud, Bo Nix, or Kyler Murray for your team? Not talking fantasy, for your team. Let's say Joe Burrow.
For the Bengals.
The Bengals trade Joe Burrow to, I don't know, the Falcons. And then you've got to bring in a new quarterback. There are your 3 options. Who are you going with?
I'll probably go with Kyler. As long as we're going to design a playbook around him, because CJ Stroud, he's playing behind a terrible low line, so we know what that's about. We're gonna get the CJ Stroud as he is now, but behind our O line.
He's got to make a play though,
which is potentially worse.
I know his O line's falling apart and everything that comes with that, but that defense is standing up and not conceding a lot of points. CJ Stroud's got to make a play for me. If he's as good as everybody thought he was, he's got to find a way to make a play. He isn't doing it. Big few weeks away ahead. Right, just quickly, we need to do the touchdown treble. Last week, H went with Jacoby Myers, didn't score. You went with Isaiah Pacheco, didn't score. I went with DJ Moore, did score.
Who did score?
Yeah, eventually. This week, I'm going Breece Hall at the Dolphins.
Okay, yeah, I like that. H has gone with, who did he say? H has gone with Keon Coleman, who is against we talked about it before, the Saints. I'm going with Ladd McConkey.
Oh, okay.
Against the Giants. Hasn't scored yet this year. Feels like a great week for him to open his account.
Yeah.
Or depending on how much we're going to get for that treble, Brock Bowers, because as previously mentioned, big game for the Raiders.
Throw a ball in there. Let's do two versions of it. We can lose twice.
Yeah, why not? None of them are coming anyway. Ladd McConkey for me.
Just for clarity, in week 1 we didn't get any of them. Week 2 we did get 2 out of 3, and then last week we got 1 out of 3. So that's 3 out of 9 that we've got right. So
but this week has to be 3 out of 3 then.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, we've had all combinations except 3 out of 3. So get on it. Get on it. People are going to be sending us bills at the end. You've cost me hundreds of pounds across the year. You only need to win one, and then your quid's in.
That's right.
Thanks for listening. As always, subscribe to our YouTube. If you've been listening on audio, go and check the YouTube out. Subscribe. You'll get a notification when the episode goes live. We've had more and more viewers over the last few weeks, and we do really appreciate it. So tell your friends. We enjoy doing it. Hopefully you enjoy listening to us and watching us. And we'll be back next week for week 5.